Good afternoon and welcome. I'm Karen Barsdale, and I am the president of the Greater Reading Chamber of Commerce, and we're here for another member spotlight. And I am thrilled today with the guest that I have for you to meet, because what these folks do, this is a nonprofit organization, and it's very unique. And so without further ado, I'm going to introduce Steve Kruszewski. Steve, thank you so much for taking some time and coming out to be with us today.
Thank you, Karen. We're excited to be here. We really are.
Well, when I first met Steve, a relatively new member to the chamber, the organization, and you and a fellow colleague, Jeff, came to a new member orientation. And when you began to tell us what you did, it was like, wow, this is fantastic. So I'm going to sit back and let you talk for a few moments. I'm going to ask some questions.
Okay.
But you tell us what moment, because moment of peace, what does that mean to anybody? A lot of different things.
Sure.
But this is very special.
Sure. To start out, Moment of Peace Adventures, we are a 501c3 nonprofit organization, 100% volunteers. We've been around for about 7 years. It started with a core group of guys who knew an individual whose child was ill. They pooled their money and their resources to take the father and child out on a hunt. It was a successful deer hunt, and while the child and the father were out in the woods, the child looked at the father, and this child, he has since passed away, regrettably. He said, "You know, Dad, this is like a moment of peace."
Oh.
So
now you're going to make us cry.
It
you know
was
that.
not my intention. It was like a magical moment where they told the gentleman that put this trip together, his son thought this was a moment of peace for him, and it stuck. And that's why we have our name from that young man. And again, he's since has passed away, but we're still in contact with his family.
That's amazing. So from there, tell the story.
Well, from there, we became an organization, so to speak. We applied for our nonprofit status, which was granted, and we have a core group of individuals that really go above and beyond.
For sure, I know that.
Our volunteers take this so seriously that every one of them has taken a NRA firearms training course so that all our hunts and all our adventures are safe. The safety is the number one on any of our adventures. Whether it's hunting, fishing, camping, whatever, safety's number one. And everybody in our organization is CPR and first aid qualified. They've all undergone criminal background checks and child abuse clearances. So for them to do that much work on their own time and on their own dime, I might add, it shows that we do have a committed group of individuals.
Absolutely.
That are, there's a great core group of folks.
And so moving along from that hunting, tell us, so what do you do on a regular basis with these young children that you're finding, and then tell us how you find these kids.
Okay, most of the time it's word of mouth and referrals from another child. You have to remember, these children are spending a lot of their time in hospitals around other sick children. I mean, we have children that have disabilities. It can be cancer, it can be spina bifida, it can be multiple sclerosis, it can be a host of diseases. And with our group of individuals, we're able to take them out on these adventures where they never would be able to without a group such as ours. They reach out to us, they fill out an application. We have an interview team that will go to the residents, they'll interview the child and the parent, and if they meet the criteria for what is we set forth, we go to a meeting. They bring it out in front of everybody at the meeting, and we vote on that family and that child to go out on an adventure of their choice.
And tell me a little bit about what that adventure looks like.
Well, if it's a hunting adventure, which is the majority of the things we do, and fishing is awesome too. We do a lot of those. We'll take them out to the range, the family, before any hunts ever take place. And we'll teach them hunter education. if they don't have it. Some of these families come from hunting families, but the child's disability prevents them from getting out.
Right.
So we'll take them out, make sure they can handle a firearm safely, and we'll go over the anatomy of an animal, whether it's a white-tailed deer or an elk, whatever they want to go out and hunt. And once we set the date, we will pick them up in a motorhome. Moment of Peace Adventures has a Class A motorhome that we pick the family up at their residence. We'll take them to the hunting ranch, and we'll get the bond in that time. People that haven't met the family that are with MOPA as a representative, we have lots of time because we're on the road for a long time. We get to the ranch, get them settled in, and then we go about our business. We go about the hunt. And it's not only the hunt, it's the camaraderie.
Sure.
We've found that throughout these 7 years, where I want to throw in there that this year we will be reaching over 40 children and their families since our inception.
That is amazing.
So we're pretty proud of that.
Absolutely, you should be.
Considering we're this local group that nobody knows about,
Right.
And I got to say, we're excited to get off base, to be partnered with the chamber to get the word out about Moment of Peace.
There's
we're
nothing
super
better
excited.
that we could do.
We're
than to
super
do
excited.
This.
Yeah, it's something we needed to do, and we're so glad we did. But we'll get that child out on their adventure, and we'll do things that family has never done before. We will, simple things that a lot of families take for granted, campfires, roasting marshmallows and s'mores at a campfire, sitting around the campfire. We'll sit around and tell hunting stories. And to see the child and the family away from hospitals, chemotherapy treatments, all the bad stuff that they're constantly surrounded by, to give them that break and that moment of peace.
That is just amazing.
The whole trip encompasses not just the hunt,
sure,
but the whole thing, to get that family away from their problems.
How long does a typical adventure last?
We usually set up a 3-day adventure.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, we'll do our traveling on the first day. We'll get into the ranch, or if we're taking them fishing, we'll take them down to Maryland or Delaware. We'll get them settled in at a campground there, and then we'll start our adventure the next day. Whatever works for the family. Mm-hmm. If the family can only do a 2-day thing, depending on treatments or medical needs, we'll adjust the whole trip to make that family's adventure easy for them. The last thing we want to do is stress the family out. It's their schedule, it's their adventure, and we will do whatever we can to make it the most pleasant experience we can.
When I heard your story and what you've done and what you've accomplished, and relatively unknown in this community, I was blown away. I was literally blown away. And I know that we talked briefly because we met afterward to just kind of brainstorm with one of our colleagues who's gotten some exciting stuff going. And before we end, I want to make sure that we get this out there and,
Sure.
and talk about. But is there any, we know there are some national organizations that kind of do these things, and I know our time is running out. We're getting the high sign.
Sure.
But there are not a lot of local communities that have something like this.
Correct.
We shared about this. You don't know of any of them.
There's some similar ones, but they don't take it to the level where we do. And I want to add that something very important that makes us probably the most unique organization, and it's we're proud of this because we don't think there's any other organization that does this. We continue to stay in contact with the families well after the adventure is over. We currently have 2 campground sites that any of our previous MOPA families can utilize throughout the open camping season at any time at no cost to the families.
Wow.
If they need a time, a day, a weekend, a week, they reserve it. They go there. They don't have to worry about anything. We provide them with all the food, camping supplies, whatever they would want to get them away and let them decompress a little bit. And that's available at 2 camping resorts, 1 camping resort in Berks County at Charlottesville,
Okay.
Mountain Springs Resort. and we're looking at adding a third up in Sullivan County. Again, as most nonprofits, we're facing, financial
Sure.
scrutiny, not scrutiny, but we need to
need
raise funds
Right. And
to continue this.
And I think you told me, Steve, that you've always found the money. You've
Yes.
always found the money.
Yeah.
And I kind of think that there's a divine reason for that.
Yeah.
Because what you're doing is just so amazing. We could talk for a lot longer.
Sure.
But I want to, again, MOPA is an organization that a lot of people don't know about. So we got to get the word out there. And so very quickly, because I know you do have a big fundraiser at another point in time in the year, but there's something that's going to go on specially this fall
Yes.
at Stokesay.
Yes.
So let's just talk for 1 minute about that.
Okay. In September, and the date fails me, I believe it's September 24th. We'll have it out there for everybody to see. We're going to run our first event to bring in some corporate sponsors. We're going to tell our story. We're going to show them some videos of our children that have gone out and the families and the way their lives have been affected by Moment of Peace Adventures. And with the help of the Chamber, we hope it's a success. I mean, we're counting on people to come out and really support this cause.
A lot of pressure on us, but I think
Yeah.
that we're going to just keep the word going and going and going. We're not going to tell you. There's going to be a very special guest there that many of you will be interested in.
Absolutely. We're excited. We're really
hearing
excited
from.
about it.
But this is this is a blessing and a wonderful organization in our backyard, and we need to support you. And that's one reason why I'm so glad you're on today, because just think about this. When that little boy said, "This is like a moment of peace for me," and I know we shared about, or you shared about, having to sometimes go to funerals.
Yes.
And how hard it is. And think about this group of people who do this. There's nothing in it but the desire to make a child's life better for a moment. So what can be better than that? So we're going to get some fairy godparents, I hope, out of this and out of what we're going to do in September. And just keep getting the word out. And pretty soon, MOPA's going to be like, oh, I know who they are. Yes, absolutely. They do great work. So, Steve, it's a pleasure.
Karen, thank you so much.
I just thank you from the bottom of my heart, not just for being here, but for what you're doing for kids. Because you know what? There but for the grace of God could go any one of us with a child.
Absolutely. Yep.
So thank you so much. And
Yep.
It's a great honor.
And I can't say enough about everyone that's involved in the MOPA organization.
Oh my gosh, everyone
our
I've met.
officers, our membership, our ambassadors. It's just a great group of people, and there is no pay. Our pay is to see that child and that family smile and laugh.
That you can't put a price on.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you, Steve, for being here.
Thank you for having us. It's great being here, and we appreciate the Chamber's support.
Anything we can do. Thanks.